Welcome to MILF Ministry podcast, where we explore self-love, healing, and intimacy. My name is Ayodele Vassell. I'm an attorney, a creative, and a MILF. Merch is now available at milfministry.com. You can join our live conversations on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter by following at MILF Ministry. Today's episode is dedicated to connection. We're going to talk about what connection means to me and how I equate it to emotional security in a relationship. And also why I learned to realize that connection is one of the most important things that I can have in a relationship. I'll never tell you that it's the only thing that can, sustain a relationship, because there's so many other things. Like, people have to choose each other every day. If you want to be married to someone, you need to be financially compatible and spiritually compatible and, trust them to make medical decisions for you and all these other things that have nothing to do with love per se. There's a lot of business involved. But when it comes to relationships overall, I realized that connection was everything, just because of the spirit that I was born with, the spirit that I walk with, who I believe I am. My emotional security is paramount in a relationship. And this expands outside of intimate relationships, but this is MILF Ministry, so I like to focus on how just understanding yourself and knowing what you want makes so many things easier for you. And always, 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 once you're happy, it just leads to better interactions and better sex. So we always think about ourselves first. And it's important that we take time to do this, because as mothers, we're always focused on everyone else before we think about ourselves. So when I think about connection, I view connection as a mixture of spiritual energy and emotional energy. It's really an unquantifiable feeling because it's something that resonates within your soul. And that's why I say a relationship won't survive on that connection alone, right? You have to understand someone's boundaries. You have to choose each other every day, and you have to communicate. And there are all these other things that are attached to a successful relationship. But I still think we should dive into this topic because it's important to me. So when I look at the things that help me connect with someone, one of the most important qualities to me is that someone is actually being genuine. And I always joke with people saying that I'm a hard person to fake love because of how complicated I am and how emotional I am and how much I like to communicate. If you don't really like me, you'll get tired. You'll get tired kind of quickly, because it's not something that's easy to sustain in a lightweight fashion. So that's like always one of my biggest things, just knowing that someone's being genuine, because I consider myself to be a genuine person. I'm not perfect, and I may not tell someone every single thing that I feel at every single moment of the day, because that's not always the best thing to do. But I do pride myself on feeling like if you know me and you've interacted with me multiple times, then you kind of know who I am as a person. As a woman, as a mother, as a professional, you should start to form some sort of example of who I am. So it's really important to me that the people that I interact with, especially on an intimate level, display that level of genuineness. Now, the level of genuineness to me can be something as simple as someone being very clear. This is who I am, and this is the friendship level I can give you. This is the love level I can give you. This is the sexual level I can give you. This is my capacity to interact with you. And I really like that in terms of building a connection, because it lets you know, in my mind, like what you should expect and what's safe to do and what's not safe to do inside of the parameters of that relationship. So once again, just to reiterate what I'm saying is, like, you meet a man and the man is like, look, I'm interested in sex and I'm interested in being friends and I'm not interested in marriage. I'm not interested in anything beyond this. And hopefully when that man is saying, whatever he's saying, or let's say he says, I'm interested in pursuing marriage. Like that is where I am in my life right now. I'm not really interested in dating multiple people at a time. Or they may say I want to date multiple people at a time, but eventually I'm interested in pursuing marriage. I think it's nice to know kind of like where someone is. And also someone could be very genuinely confused in that moment. I just got out of a long-term relationship. I'm not really sure what I want, but I'm looking to connect. And I'm looking to establish bonds with people. Like it could be as simple as that. To me, I still consider that to be genuine. And I don't really fault someone for not knowing what they want because that happens. That's happened to me multiple times, both inside of my marriage and outside of my marriage, where you sit and you're like, I'm really not sure where I want to go, which direction I want to take my life. And it's harder when you're in marriage because you're like, ooh, I already made a whole commitment, not only to this other person, but to a community of people. So I, for one, never judge someone for not being sure of what they want to do, especially if they communicate that to me. Because I feel like that's being genuine. And I feel like I can still build a connection with someone that is in that level because I know that ahead of time and I know how to behave. Like I know how to navigate that relationship. So that's one of the most important things to me, feeling like I'm interacting with a genuine person. Another thing that's important to me is to meet someone that kind of, looks at you, the woman, and assesses you from a standpoint of what value can I add to her life? Once again, it's coming from a genuine place. And that when I think of value, everything is not monetary, but obviously money matters, right? Especially depending on what kind of relationship you want to have with someone. But the value could be something as simple as the gift of laughter. This is MILF Ministry. It could be the gift of orgasms. That's the value they want to bring to your life. And when they come, they're at least going to bring that, right? It could be business opportunities. This is the type of friendship that I want to have with you where we may hang out, we may go out to eat and do things like that, but they're also very business focused. And they're like, I think this will be great for your podcast, or I think this will be great for if you're a teacher, for your classroom. If you're a lawyer, I think this will be great for your business. If you work in music, I think this will be great for your artistry. Whatever it is that you do as a woman, there are some men that come into your life and that is the value that they bring. Like they like to add business value to your life. But that's just really important. It's important to me for many reasons, but mainly because I see myself as a woman that can bring value to anybody's life, man or woman. But in particular, if you're going to be my partner, I know for a fact I can bring value to your life. One thing I'm going to bring to your life is joy. My name is Ayo, it means joy. And it's a name that I was given from birth, and it's something that I take seriously. I really, truly enjoy my life. And I make it my mission to make sure that the people around me enjoy their life. So that's one thing I'm going to do. I consider myself to be someone that's good at looking at your natural gifts and someone that can encourage you and motivate you to be the best version of yourself. And not from a standpoint of, well, you need to do this and you should be doing this and blah, not from that standpoint, but more from a standpoint of, okay, what do you really want to do? Okay. You want to be a doctor. Everyone knows you got to finish college and go to medical school and all that stuff. So you don't need me to tell you that. Obviously, if you want to be a doctor, you should know some of the steps to being a doctor. How do I see myself as bringing value? I could say, I could bring value by saying, have you thought about your emotional health, about where you'll be enrolled in school? Some people just look at a school like, I want to go to this school because it's quote unquote the best school. Is it the best school for you? Where is it located? What are things that you like to do outside of medical school? You may like to play soccer. Can you even play soccer there? Like, is the temperature too cool to play soccer for many months out of the year? You may like to drum or do African dance or do other things. So that's the kind of value that I feel like I bring to people's life, helping them to remember to enjoy life, especially outside of your profession. So once again, when I think about connection, I think about a partner that can also bring that energy back. They don't have to be identical. Like, they don't have to have the same exact skill set as that I have, but someone that's thinking about bringing some kind of value, even if it's simply laughter and orgasms, if it's whatever it is, it should be important to them and they should care about it. And I should feel that energy. When they come around, they take this seriously, and that's what they like to do. So when I look, once again, going back, the episode is called Connection. When I think about a connection, besides someone being genuine, the value that they want to bring to my life is important to me. Another thing that's important to me is equated with emotional security. And it's still tied into being genuine. So I remember having an issue one time and being a little bit nervous about talking about this specific issue. And the reason that I was nervous had nothing to do with anybody else besides myself, like my own insecurities of feeling like, well, I'm too emotional, or I want to talk about things too much, or just all these stories that I tell myself about being myself. And sometimes I just shut down on my own, and I don't, for lack of a better word, I don't give space to other people to be there for me. A lot of times people have to call me on their own because I'm on their mind, or text me, and I will be going through something, and then I have to admit, like, yes, I was not feeling well, or I was thinking about this, or I was struggling with this. And this happens to me way too often. My mom or my dad or my god brother or my sister, like someone will text me and say, hey, I was thinking about you. And inadvertently, we end up talking about something that was bothering me. And that's not even restricted to family. Recently, this year, I was dealing with a professional issue that was going to cost me a lot of money. And I was trying to figure out how to sort through this issue on my own. There was somebody that I was thinking of asking for help, but for whatever reason, I didn't ask that person for help. Lo and behold, about, I'd say 6 weeks after dealing with this issue and almost spending money that I really shouldn't have spent on the issue, the person that I was supposed to ask for help texted me or called me about something totally unrelated. And we talked about that unrelated issue. And then finally, I admitted, I said, I've needed your help with something for the last couple of weeks. And I don't know why, but I didn't reach out to you. And the person was like, why? Why not? And long story short, I don't know if it's like you don't want to feel weak, you don't want to feel vulnerable, like I don't know. But for whatever reason, there are times where I just don't want to reach out, or I just don't want to say what's going on. And to me, it's important to have a partner that won't allow me to do that. So it's important for me to have a partner that like notices a change or a shift in your energy, or just notices something about you and says, do we need to talk? Or, is everything really okay? Or if I am in a place where I'm brave enough to talk and bring up whatever I need to talk about on my own, I need a partner that's like, okay, let's talk about it. Let me schedule some time. I can talk to you, let's say it's Wednesday. They can make time on Friday if they can't make time that exact day. But, quickly. Like, let's talk about it. I can't talk to you. Today is Wednesday. Maybe I can talk to you Thursday morning, or I can talk to you later tonight. Like I'm at work right now, but I can talk to you later tonight, and let's sort through this, because I want to make sure that you're okay. That's really important to me because in terms of building a connection with someone, you want to feel safe to be the fullest version of yourself. And the fullest version of yourself is not always happy, is not always organized, does not always have all the answers. The fullest version of yourself will be frustrated, will be sad, will be triggered, because we all have issues that we're dealing with. And it's important to have someone that reacts to whatever you're going through from a place of love and a place of support. Doesn't matter to me where the relationship is going. To me, connection matters. Doesn't matter the title of your relationship. It doesn't matter anything. I feel like you should feel safe to be who you are. Obviously, there are levels. So as I talk about in other episodes, if you're having a one-night stand with somebody, then the level of connection will just literally be limited to being able to communicate what you need for that night and then moving past that. Like, okay, we've had our night, and then you move on and you go about your life. If it's someone that you choose not to marry, or someone that you choose not to be in a committed relationship with, it doesn't mean that you can't be yourself, and it doesn't mean that you can't have a connection. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can still be honest about who you are and what you value and try to be the most genuine version of yourself. I think it helps when we speak about being vulnerable if you're with your partner is also emotionally intelligent. That's extremely important because, as I've said in previous episodes, as women, we have to learn how to give our partners space to be there for us. What do I mean by that? I know I used to be a woman that was like, if something's bothering me, I want to talk about it right now. I don't give a damn if you're at work, at church. Well, I don't care where you were. If I needed to talk, I wanted to talk about it immediately. And I realized that was selfish, that was immature, and it's not really productive, because if you really want to communicate, how you feel about whatever it is, unless it's an emergency, obviously, then what I'm saying doesn't matter. But if you really want to communicate, once again, communicate. Your partner needs to be in a place where they can receive the information that you're trying to say. They need to be able to receive it. They need to be able to process it. And they need to be able to reply in a thoughtful manner. And if you're demanding to speak to them at a time when they're not available or ready to be all of that, then that kind of creates unnecessary conflict. It's very helpful when you have a partner that's able to communicate, like, I'm not able to do XYZ because of whatever, in a way that makes you still feel like they're not brushing you off. I think that's the most important thing for me as a woman, to feel like the person is actually making time and not brushing you off. When I think about connection and feeling emotionally secure, I think it's important that I dig a little deeper to the concept of value. We talked about what value can someone add to your life, whether it's joy or orgasms or, financial resources or just business ideas, whatever. I really think it's important when I'm building a connection with someone that they care about the overall energy that they bring into my space. And that's why I said connection is a mixture of spiritual and emotional energy. And that goes from everything to obviously being physically clean. You want to make sure that you're interacting with someone that's physically clean, that takes their sexual health seriously, like they get tested and all that stuff, especially if there's multiple partners. But the spiritual energy, what do they do to cleanse their energy? It could be anything from going to the beach to using sage or crystals or Palo Santos. And I know that for some men, this is foreign. They don't really think about the energy, the spiritual energy, but that energy matters. If you're a man that deals with large crowds, I don't care whether you're an artist or a business executive, all of us as humans are walking around with different energy. You could be dealing with a client that is facing death or has lost someone close to them. And when you go and interact with your woman, I like to deal with men that care about the energy that they bring back. Once again, this matters to me because I'm a woman that cares about the energy that I bring into a man's life. I really do care about the spiritual energy. So if I'm not having a good day or I'm not in a good mood, I try to do what I can on my own to get my energy back into a better place. And like I said, you could do anything from burning sage to lighting a candle to just physically taking a shower, because sometimes that shifts your energy. Taking a walk, get some fresh air. There's so many things that you can do. You could play music. I think music is a great way to shift your energy. So many things you can do to shift your energy before you go and interact with someone that you care about. At least for me. When we talk about connection, these types of things matters. And I felt like this topic was extremely important because when I decided to start dating, I had a very long list of qualities that I desired in a partner. And the list was broken down into a few major categories, like emotional compatibility, financial compatibility, spiritual compatibility, and sexual compatibility. And what happened was that life taught me that these lists are cool, but connection is everything. Connection is really everything, because I could think of a few people. But the universe presented some interesting people, like in terms of like, oh, well, this is how tall I want somebody to be. This is how much money I want them to have. And this is the education that I would like them to have. And this is the this and the that. And all these things I remember thinking like, it's almost like you're checking off a list. But I realized at the end of the day, none of that meant anything to me if I didn't feel a certain level of connection. Now, connection is totally different than a vibe. Most of us as humans, myself included, can vibe with just about anybody. You could find things to have in common. And you can meet genuine people and still not connect with them in this unquantifiable way that I'm discussing. Like you can meet someone that has great character, raised by a good family, financially responsible, spiritually grounded, all of these things that I say matter on paper. But maybe you feel like this person is not truly thinking about the value that they could add to your life outside of maybe, I got money so I can take care of her financially. Which for some people, that's it, right? For me, especially as someone that's already been married, I know that you could have all of your bills paid and be miserable. Like, my gosh, you really can. And some people say, how? How? All your bills are paid. You have health insurance. You have this, you have that. Trust me, you can have all of that taken care of and not be happy emotionally because of the connection that you lack with your partner. And so I decided that I was going to just sit in my own truth and work on finding the connection that I needed to be happy. And then the other attributes that I need, then we start checking them off instead of going backwards. So I look at people and I try to gravitate and connect with the spirit of the person. And then we start thinking about, okay, well, where were you educated and what are your family values and what's this and what's that? Who knows if I'm making the right choice? No one will know. Time will tell, right? Things will be revealed. But like I said, after some time, spending time with different people, I realized that if I didn't really feel like this person was thinking about the value that they could add to my life, and I didn't really feel like I could be honest about who I was, that nothing else really mattered for me, because it started to feel empty. This puts me in a really interesting situation because, as I've told you before, I was married, I'm divorced, and I know firsthand that feelings cannot sustain a relationship. So each person has to have a personal desire to protect and preserve the union. Whatever you decide to call your union, you have to have a desire to protect it daily. So the irony is that relationships won't survive on connection alone. They just won't. But this MILF, Ayodele, needs an emotional connection for my relationship to survive. So we'll just end it on that note, like connection. And I also want to hear from you all. Does connection matter to you? And what are the levels that matter to you? Or is it even something that you take into consideration when you're looking for someone? Thanks for listening to this episode of MILF Ministry Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and then share it. Merch is available at milfministry.com. You can join our live conversations about self-love, healing, and intimacy by following @MILF Ministry on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. My name is Ayodele Vassell. I'm an attorney, a creative, and a MILF. And I pray you always have honey for your spirits and honey for your lips.